They say you are what you eat, so I don't eat chicken feet. But I love me some of Grandma's pickled beets. Well, cut it up, put it in the pan, throw it over your shoulder and see where it lands right here in Farmer's Kitchen. Maters, taters, beans and corn, the cows in the barn and the sheep's been shorn, kids in the barnyard chasing Grandpa's chicken. Spices, slices, cuts and dices, gonna slash your grocery prices right here in Farmer's Kitchen. Help you grow your garden good with recipes to suit your mood. Try some grub you've never tried before. Smash it with a wooden mallet, gonna educate your palate. Right here in Farmer's Kitchen, in Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen. We're gonna cook something good now.
Hello and welcome to the Farmer's Kitchen. We're the farmers and this is our kitchen. And we're getting ready to cook Nicki dinner because she's
starving,
as usual. So this is a kind of a special fun show. You know, we're going way back to our memories of childhood. Grandparents, places that we went. Food to me is a trigger, a memory trigger. Think, oh man, I remember the way this tastes way back when. One of these recipes, the first time I had it was in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
And you remember that?
Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Two things I had down there. One of them was tomato gravy. That's what they called it. The other one was black-eyed peas. First time as a kid, I thought, okay, here's some soup beans. And then I taste them like, oh, those are soup beans, but they have an interesting taste. I didn't hate them.
Right.
Because they had hog jowl in them, it tastes good. Now, my dad was a professional. He was a draftsman. He worked in the architecture department at C&O Railroad in his later years, but he was also a land surveyor. But he was also a preacher, so I was a preacher's kid.
Uh-oh.
So we would travel around. Now think about the Baptist ladies who were cooking magnificent plates of food.
Always.
And you think about that. You grew up in the church too, so you know what good food is. So we went to an association meeting and we met with some people in Alabama, a beautiful Greek revival home.
I love those.
And they had tomato gravy over biscuits, beautiful
Yummy.
cat head biscuits. Then we had black-eyed peas, and I remember those things vividly, those tastes, and like, wow. Let's talk about your grandmother and what she made.
She made a cola cake that was delicious.
And do you remember having that?
I do remember having it. And I forgot about it until I found it in her recipe book.
Isn't that cool to see her actual handwriting?
Yes, I love it.
It's just so cool. So tonight we're going way back, some very classic stuff, and we're going to start with bacon. You can't go wrong. Take a look at that. Hold that up, Nicki, and show them that other side there. Look at this beautiful bacon. We did that. It's a 7-day cure. We'll tell you how we did that in just a little bit. Let's get about 5 or 6 pieces of bacon going.
Okay.
So the good thing about making your own bacon, as you can see, is you get to slice it as thick as you want it. You can put as much smoke or as little smoke on it when you're using the smoker. There's so many things that you can do. Our bacon is simply equal parts kosher salt, real maple syrup, and brown sugar. So it's a salt, sugar cure. I also put a little black pepper in there, and you can put a little cayenne pepper too if you want to give it a little zing, but lots and lots of black pepper if you like that sort of thing. I really do like hickory smoke on my bacon. That's just what I prefer. Love hickory smoke. And this bacon right now smells so wonderful. Look at those big thick pieces. I can almost pick it up raw, but that's bad to do.
That's right.
So I have a buddy named Carly. Recently he says, "Farmer, you gotta try this." I said, "Try what?" He said, "It's as simple as this. Put cornmeal on your bacon." So I did, and guess what?
You like it?
It's really good. So that's what we're going to do with this bacon. We're just going to take this and we're going to really put some cornmeal on. Now there's several different ways once you cure your meat. Now we take it and turn it over in that solution once every 7 days. Then on the 7th day you have the choice to rinse it off or you can leave that sugar on there. Now what happens when you leave the sugar on there, it fries up a little dark. It'll leave some marks in your pan.
It's delicious.
But Nicki has been doing it on the tray lately, and it really does come out nice.
It does.
So you've been putting this in the oven. I'm not even watching. What's your temperature and time?
It takes about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. So I flip it at 20 minutes and then give it another 10, 15 till you think it looks good. That's right.
So what we're going to do is just gently We're going to get as much of that cornmeal on there as we can. Just kind of force it in. So little simple stuff like this. Now, what we're going to do with this bacon is going to be very interesting because that's a big component to what we're doing tonight. We need the bacon grease and we need the actual bacon because I got something cool coming up. So we're going to put that in the oven, and shortly thereafter, we'll still have some bacon grease.
We will. Let's time 20 minutes. Make sure we flip it.
All right, gotcha. This was your grandmother Calicarina's.
Right.
I so wish I could have had some of her food.
Oh yeah, and this stuff she made in her restaurant, and she always, you know, this is a smaller portion. She'd make sheet cakes, big stuff for a restaurant. So we've cut this back to just a nice 9x9 pan.
Now this is a cola cake per se, as they called it back in the day. And this is similar to my mother's, but it's got that really thick, dense, beautiful, soft.
And it has marshmallows, which is interesting
got
for a cola
marshmallow.
cake. Your parents tried it. We gave them some, and they gave us the thumbs up. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm happy. They liked
Yeah,
it.
Dad loves his chocolate cake.
He does.
So I'm gonna shut up so you
All
can
right.
get going.
And what we're going to start with, we have, this is 1.5 cups of flour,
What kind of flour?
all purpose.
All purpose.
All purpose, yeah. And then I have 1.5 cups of sugar.
It's a cake.
It's a cake, that's right. I have in here 3¼ teaspoons of soda, and I just shook a little bit of salt in there for taste.
Gotcha.
So that's our base. If you get that going for me, that is a stick and a
I'm
half.
gonna melt some butter.
Yep, stick and a half, which is 3/4 of butter. We're gonna melt that down. And this is nice because you don't need a mixer. This is kind of a whisk cake. Just whisk it up, throw it in.
So we don't have to get that going crazy. You don't
No,
wanna
we just
burn
want to
no
melt
butter.
that butter. And I'm gonna add 3/4 of a cup of cola.
To the butter.
Yeah, just go ahead and let's get that melting down. And also I have 2 tablespoons of cocoa. And that's gonna be the base of that. So if you can just melt that all for me, that'd be great. All right, so I'm gonna utilize, while you're doing that for me, I'm gonna bring this bowl up here. And this is our third thing we're gonna get together. These are 2 of our eggs from our chickens, which I love.
Very fresh eggs.
That's right. And I also have here a 1/3 cup of buttermilk.
Love buttermilk.
So we're gonna have 3 different dishes here. And then my favorite vanilla from Lisa that she made. It's absolutely wonderful. You can tell it's homemade. I'm gonna put a
We
teaspoon
need
of
to get her
that.
on the show and
Show us how she made
to
it.
do that. That's a process.
Yes, it is. All right, so we got that melted.
I'm making a mess of it.
That's okay, let's set it aside a little bit. And I'm gonna go ahead and whisk this up, the buttermilk, the eggs, and the vanilla. Okay, now it's time to combine. So if you wanna pour this slowly in here for me, we'll start with our cocoa mixture. That's the cola, the cocoa.
Just a slow pour.
Yes, and that's got the butter.
Oh,
I know, we're making a cake.
smells like a chocolate factory.
Uh-huh.
Am I a good pour?
You are doing really good. This is nice because I had to do it myself earlier when I
Sometimes,
practiced.
sometimes 2 hands isn't enough.
That's right.
All the time, 1-handed enough. All of it?
Give me all of it, yeah. Go ahead,
All
pour it
right.
all in there. And then if you will, pour the next one for me.
The next wet batch.
That's right, the next wet batch.
All
This
right.
is our eggs and our buttermilk and our vanilla.
Ready?
Go ahead, just pour it all in and I can.
Pour it all in,
Yeah,
all
go
right.
ahead. I'm gonna whisk it all up here. And there's my pan that I've already
Do you need
greased.
that closer?
Yep, you can put it right here because when this gets mixed where it looks nice, see how it's turning into a nice little cake batter? All right, one last ingredient, something she did. A couple marshmallows.
I tried it. It was pretty amazing.
They kind of stay on the surface, but they kind of melt into the cake. I think it makes it really good.
She knew what she was doing.
She did. She was.
And this is optional. Everybody has their way. There's no right way or wrong way to do a cola cake. But this one's awful good, I'll tell you that.
Right. And you got cola in the icing too at the end. All right, we're gonna let this go at 350 for about 45 minutes. We'll watch it.
All right, so our bacon's been in 350, about 20 minutes. We're gonna flip it for just a few minutes. And remember, this has cornmeal on it. Different deal. Now, I could, realistically, eat every one of those. It's just a different thing here. Thanks,
It is.
Carly. Thank you very much. And we have plans for this bacon a little bit later when it's done. And I need the bacon grease as well. Perfect. So back in.
Put it back in. Let's give it another 10-15 minutes. We'll see when it
Alright.
looks good.
Tomato gravy. It's a southern thing. Like I said, I had it in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I've had it as I traveled around the state of Kentucky. There are little spots where certain things are popular. You remember banana croquettes?
Yes.
There are certain places where those are popular. Certain church groups have them,
Right.
and then there's certain places people never heard of them. Tomato gravy is kind of like that. And when I really tried to research it, I think it really came from the Deep South. But then it kind of became part of an Appalachian thing as well. And I've had it in different spots in Eastern Kentucky, in Southern Kentucky, and Western Kentucky. But there's a link to me, taste-wise. I'll bet you Harlan Sanders had tomato gravy, and that taste is almost exactly what his scalloped tomatoes recipe that he used to have in his diner. Remember what I'm saying?
I do, I remember that.
That taste triggered, I'm like, well, I remember having that as a kid, and then I remember when she made that out of his original recipe, I'm like, wow, there it is. He was smart, he knew his stuff.
Yes, he was.
But before we could make tomato gravy, we gotta have some biscuits to put it in. So Mrs. Farmer, you're the bacon queen.
So Sally's biscuits.
Nothing to it.
The only thing I did different this time, you know, we used lard, you can use some kind of anything. We used butter. You said, let's try butter.
I love buttery biscuits.
I know you do. So we have a third of butter, and I've let this get room temperature so I can mix it in here easy. And I'm gonna mix it in with the flour first.
So this is 2 cups of self-rising flour.
That's right.
It's just so easy. People say, I really have a tough time making biscuits. I don't know how to make biscuits. Now you can use butter, you can use lard, you can use shortening, whatever you prefer. All of them work equally well.
With her exact recipe. But you gotta have buttermilk. That's her secret. So we have 3/4 cup of buttermilk.
And it's just a beautiful thing.
That's right.
And look what you end up with.
And now it's time to get dirty.
It's all you.
That's right. You wanna do this?
Nope.
Okay.
I can keep one hand clean. Now these biscuits cook at a high temperature. I mean, some people think it sounds strange when I say, hey, 450 degrees for 10 minutes.
Oh.
But Sally Weisenberger knows her biscuits, and she would not tell us wrong. Knock on wood, they turn out perfect every time. There's just no way you can mess this up.
But I like to let you cut them. You do the perfect cut on your biscuits, the size you want.
But you know, and the thing is, it's up to you how thick you want them. If you cut them thicker, obviously they're going to be a little thicker. I like a lot of biscuit. If I'm eating biscuits, I want to eat biscuits. Now they're going to raise up with this self-rising flour. I'm just getting so excited about this. Tomato gravy. So I asked some folks, I said, okay. I said, hey guys, have you ever had tomato gravy and how did you like it? Because I've had it different places, different ways. Sometimes it's salty, sometimes it's more peppery, and we have our Tully cherry pepper, which you know who used that.
That's right.
And then we have kind of a sweet. I've known people that have put as much as 3 tablespoons of sugar or brown sugar to make this sweet. So most people say, well, here's the first one. Donna Snow said, no sir, I have not. Sounds interesting. Nancy Chapman Parker, never had it, always lived in Kentucky. Then James Howard says, love tomato gravy. First time I had it was in Pigeon Forge. I like it peppery. So Mike Anthony, my buddy, says, never had it, but I love tomatoes with biscuits and gravy, so I'm in. So there were hundreds of responses. Here's Ann Bertrand. Born and raised in Kentucky, and I did live in New Jersey for 5 years and never have heard of tomato gravy. Then I came across a recipe for it in Alabama cookbook. It's made with bacon drippings, and with my love of tomatoes, I knew it had to be good, so I tried it. It was wonderful, savory, and delicious. My favorite way to eat it is over grits, which
that sounds good.
I think that sounds really good. So this goes on and on and on and on. So I'm glad for your response, and it was some insight into who's had it, who hasn't, so on and so forth. But speaking of that, I think we better check on our bacon.
Check our bacon? All right. And that's probably another 12 minutes we let that go.
Now, look, we got the grease in the bottom. This is our bacon. And also, if you're just tuning in, you say, what's on that bacon? That's cornmeal.
All right, when I pulled the bacon out, I went 450 in the oven so we can do biscuits for 10 minutes, and I'm gonna roll them out a little. You tell me how thick you want these.
I want them pretty thick. Now, we've got something to cut them with here that is gonna kind of flatten them down a little bit. But
what do you think, right about there?
I'd say about there.
You like them thick, don't you?
We don't want them. Now, remember when you're cutting your biscuits, you see people do this? Well, that seals the side of it up. We don't want to do that. We just want to push down, and that'll kind of give us the size that we want. And we'll let you pull that out.
Ooh, that's a perfect biscuit.
Look at that.
Isn't that beautiful? That's beautiful.
Oh.
Let me do another one here.
So we're not going to cook a big bunch of biscuits because we got more than one use for our tomato gravy.
That's right.
And it was just an idea I had, and it worked out really well today. So it's just a really cool thing. Once we get up to 450, we're going to pop those in for
10 minutes. Exactly.
And that's it. 450. It sounds high. You think you're going to burn them up? Nope.
Perfect biscuits.
Come out beautiful. All right, now on to the tomato gravy, which we have determined that most people said they like it salty, peppery, and just a little sweet.
Yeah.
All right, let's take some of that wonderful bacon grease.
This is cool enough now that I can actually pour for you.
So we're gonna take that much.
Good?
What is it, a tablespoon and a half? Oh, let's go a little bit
Little
more.
bit more?
You know what? And maybe a little bit of that
So
stuff
that makes it good.
won't hurt. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a half of a small onion and a little bit of a shallot for a depth of flavor there. I want that deep bacon, tomato, onion, wonderful flavor when it goes on the biscuits, and like I said, just a tad of sugar to get that acid back a little
All right,
bit.
I'm gonna chop your onions.
That's good. So now with our, and I'm just eyeballing this, and I'm just kind of going from a recipe from taste. So we're gonna get our onions, a little bit of shallot. You don't have to use either one if you don't want, but I really do think for the depth of flavor, it just adds something special. What we have here
It's a great smell.
is a great smell.
How about your biscuits?
Oh,
Ooh, they look
let me
good.
see. Oh, look at those. Now that's, you know, everybody talks about cat head biscuits.
Wow.
These are, you think about the size of Boo's head. That's about right, isn't it?
It is.
Now look, now
That's a biscuit.
my friend, is a cat head biscuit. Now you can, if you want, you can put a little flour in here and start your roux type thing going on. Or in the end, you can come through with a little more of a cornstarch slurry. So we've got a roux going there. If you will, I'm gonna stir this up just a little bit.
Okay.
Go ahead and pour my tomatoes in there. Look how brown those onions are. We're gonna do a little reduction here. Now, some people put a little bit of cream in here, but most people say, no, we're not going that route. I'll tell you what my preference is. Take you some chicken broth for that
Yummy.
depth of flavor. And we're gonna put almost a cup in there, but now we're gonna turn it up and we're gonna really reduce this down. All right, we've got our little reduction boil going. Doesn't it smell good?
As Sammy
And
would
we
do.
haven't done anything, but you know, here's the most important thing. It's cherry
Oh,
pepper. It's gotta be
Wonderful.
peppery. Gotta be peppery.
Yummy.
You see what that did already? You smell that?
I do. It's
Oh
delicious.
my. So now we're gonna come back and we're gonna use some salt. You can use some chicken bouillon. If you really wanna bring up that flavor and go for that umami thing. All right, so I put a little flour on the front end. Put a little bit more in there. We want this to thicken up. Remember, this is called tomato gravy. Now you think about down in the South, everybody grew tomatoes and they wanted their food to go a long way.
That's right.
So look here, we're already thickening
looks
up nice.
good.
I'm gonna turn down just a little bit. And for flavor,
Sugar.
just a little bit of sugar to knock that acid back. And for taste, because that's the remembrance I have from the Alabama thing. It had some sweetness to it. Oh, it was so good. When they put
Smells
that
good.
over biscuits, oh my. Now if you wanted to, you could pump up the volume on the heat and put some red pepper in there.
No, thank you.
We're not
no,
gonna
thank
do that.
you.
We're not gonna do that because of you.
That's right.
All right, so one last thickening, just a little bit at a time. We're gonna put our cornstarch slurry in here. Basically, cornstarch and chicken broth.
That looks
Look
good.
at that, that's what it's supposed to look like.
And I'm gonna go ahead and take the biggest biscuits. What do you think?
Let's go ahead and bust those biscuits open. Look at that, look how
Nice.
flaky and beautiful those biscuits are. And again, that's an official cat
Wow.
head biscuit. And we're gonna ladle out this beautiful concoction on these biscuits. This is one of the things that would pop up on occasion when I was working for Kentucky Field. Pre-hunting, fishing trips, and this would be on somebody's, oh, and I loved it when it came up,
Somebody's breakfast.
somebody's breakfast. Look at that.
Wow.
If you wanted to put just a little bit of chives on that, you could do that. What do you think?
That's delicious. That would fill your belly up. I can see how in the morning.
Exactly. You think about it, you know, a long day.
Wow. That's delicious.
Is that not a beautiful combination of flavors?
That is beautiful.
I'm telling you what,
That's good.
I'm just telling you what, this is astounding.
Delicious.
But we still have some left. What are we gonna do with that?
Let me get another
I'll
plate.
show you here in a minute. All right, we have the cake coming out.
So we're gonna have 2 cakes.
There's nothing wrong with 2 cakes. What's better than a cake?
Another cake.
Look at how those marshmallows kind of come up on top. Now this is once it's cooled and set
Right.
down.
They'll sink in a little bit.
They'll sink in a little bit, and that's how the finished product looks before you put the
Icing.
icing, and it firms up.
Or you could put it on hot. Some people do, but we're gonna put it on cool so we can eat it.
So I have toasted 2 pieces of bread.
Okay.
What shall we do? I had a thought.
Bring it over
Watch
to you.
this. So we're going to take a little bit of this and put on our bacon, fried in a little bit of cornmeal to give it just an extra little taste, a la Carly, my buddy. Look here, we spread this out right here. We got this going on. Now you could put lettuce on here if you want. You probably would, wouldn't
I
you?
would probably have crunchy lettuce, yeah.
But that right there, that holds up enough to where it's not going to be soggy. Now one more thing we're going to do. Now we're going to take some good southern mayo here. Depending on how much you like. My dad would not want any.
No, he would not.
He's not a fan.
I'm a fan.
I love me some mayo.
That looks perfect.
Now let's set that on there. Now I want you to look. That's something different. It's something special. Look at that.
That looks delicious.
This came to my mind because I thought about his scalloped tomatoes, and I thought about the toast, and I thought about the bacon, and then Carly had the idea for the cornmeal on the bacon. Look at that, it holds up. You've got your tomato there, but you have that depth of flavor
Oh, yeah.
that a tomato doesn't bring to your sandwich. So let's just try it. I want you to try it, Miss Farmer, if you will.
This one is messy. I'm going to try yours. Oh, they're both messy, aren't they? Delicious.
I'm in love. I got a little tear in my eye.
Do you?
I don't think I can take it. I'm gonna faint. You
All
catch
right.
me?
No. I'm going to let you hit the ground.
I'm just tired. That's good.
It's good.
And that's how recipes come about. That's how different little things, you try this, you watch this person do that, this taste goes with that, let's try this, let's try that on that. We have now a sourdough bacon with cornmeal tomato gravy sandwich.
There you go.
With mayo.
There you go. That's a good name.
Oh my.
Delish.
All right, I'm gonna take another bite of this, and then we gotta finish up with your icing,
And eat some cake.
and then we'll eat some cake, because
Beautiful.
we have a tough life.
We do.
So I've melted your butter. I was doing something while
That's
I
all
was
right.
down.
That's a third cup.
Third of a cup of butter.
And it's done. Quarter cup more cola.
Okay.
Mix that in there. 2 more tablespoons of cocoa. Just get all that mixed. And as you do that, once you get it in, I'm going to slowly add powdered sugar. You know what? Let's get you a whisk. That might work better.
All right.
And this
How am I
is-
doing?
You're doing good. This is 3 cups of powdered sugar. And we have 2 cakes here. I think we'll have a nice icing maybe for both, but I'm going to have to send one with Kelly
Yeah.
because I don't think I want you will eat 2 cakes.
You know, when you do a cooking show, and we do, sometimes you have to do before and after version, have one ready, and so that ends up, we have lots of cakes. Oh, it's thickening up.
Isn't that looking nice?
Oh, man.
We're almost to the 3 cup point. I'm going to give you the spoon if you want to do a little smoothing. Go ahead. That might be plenty right there.
I don't know. I probably want a little bit more.
You want a little more?
Yeah. Let's just use it all. So here we are, and Mrs. Farmer assures me that we can go ahead and cut this even though it's been sitting here just a few minutes.
So the icing drips. Don't you want to try it?
Yes, I want to try it. I don't want to try it. I want to absolutely attack it.
I should have cut you a bigger piece. I wasn't thinking.
Yes, you should have. I took some of our high-dollar maraschino
Hey.
cherries that we use for other things.
That's right.
And I drizzled some juice on there to get that cherry taste. So you got this deep, dark chocolate taste. And grab you
A cherry to go
grab
with
you a
it.
cherry to go with it. And guess what?
Yeah, don't waste these.
Oh, Mom. Oh, that is so good.
I'm going to have to hide the cake, I have a feeling.
You know what? That's delicious. But that little cherry
Made
with
it.
the cherry juice on it, that really adds to that.
That was delicious.
I hate to tell you this, Ms. Farmer, and I hope you don't get upset, but
Okay.
our half hour is gone.
What?
So I want to take this opportunity at this time in the show to tell you about how you can find our recipes. Mrs. Farmer, if you are out plowing the garden, and somebody walks up to you and says, Mrs. Farmer, where in the world might I find your recipes? You would
While
say,
I'm plowing the garden, I would say timfarmerscountrykitchen.com.
and that's where they can find all these recipes and more. And also, if you'd like to talk to us on Facebook, very complicated process. How do you
It
get
is.
on there?
You hit like.
That's all there is to it. But if there's one thing we can do to make the world a better place, what is that?
Be kind.
Let's be kind to one another as best we can. It's contagious.
That's right.
And remember, this show is all about
Good times
good friends.
and really good eats.
See you next week on Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen. We have been catering for a lot of years, and I wanted everything to have a specific taste. Therefore, I had to come up with my own products.
Right.
A dry rub, chow chow, and our barbecue sauce are something that we use in all our catering gigs. I developed this barbecue sauce that is not the really thick, syrupy stuff that you get. This has more of a natural, it's got some pepper and onion flavor in it. You can actually see the particulates in there. You know, a lot of people are asking what we use our dry rub on. Now, obviously, pork and chicken are two of the more common things. Also, we've been using on our corn on the cob with butter.
That is.
I'm telling you, this
That's
stuff
wonderful.
with potatoes is fantastic. So 40 years in the making, Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen Dry Rub.
Funding for Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen is brought to you by Emerson Farms Country Store. Something for every member of the family. Ephraim McDowell Medical Center in Danville, Kentucky. Gulf Coast Connection. Seafood straight from the Gulf to you. The Spine Center of Central Kentucky. Wilderness Road Hospitality, Stanford, Kentucky. Visit Frankfort, Kentucky's spirited capital city.